Yes, we just had the news that the Vive is going to be starting pre-orders in sometime in April, apparently.
Okay. So you can start pre-ordering on February 29th. It'll start shipping in April.
Okay, so 29th, that's less than a week ago.
Yeah.
It's next month's Monday.
And then people will start getting their systems in April. So like that's right around the corner.
It's happening. But they do need to pony up $800 for the package.
But let's talk about the value there. Because the Oculus Rift headset is $600, if I'm correct.
$600, and with that you get the Xbox One pad, which almost feels superfluous in a weird way.
Yeah.
Like I feel like the people who would be buying that might already have that, but yeah.
Probably.
And the headset, right? And that's it. With the Vive, you get the headset, two of their controllers, which are brand new, built for VR. They really do make those experiences feel distinct and special. And you get the cameras that used for positional tracking.
Which are like, there's like 4 little doohickeys and
lighthouse sensors.
And all of those combined just make like a really good experience for VR that Oculus is like close to hitting, but they're just not there yet because you can walk around a small amount of space with the Oculus Rift on, but you can't do the full room experience. And they don't have the tech that HTC has put into their headset either that will detect when something's in front of you and give you sort of like a ghostly image of it so you don't bump into it.
Yeah.
But also, they're not taking you out of the game. It's just like a subtle nudge, like, just by the way, there's a wall there. So it doesn't break immersion either.
Is this like, obviously people are saying, oh my God, we're so used to spending, $400 for a console or $500 for a console. And, maybe PCs obviously cost a lot more. Do you think people are disappointed at this price point? Are we now at the stage where the internet community, gaming community is kind of figured out that, okay, actually VR is going to cost this much money no matter what?
I kind of look at it this way, right? Like whenever a GPU manufacturer announces their best card, it costs somewhat similar to what people are going to be paying for these headsets. And frankly, if you were to take VR below the high-end experience right now, you would have something that is not really desirable. So yes, it's the only option, but it's a reasonable option when you consider the sort of the envelope that exists for this technology right now. You don't want to be at the bottom. You want to be at the top.
Right, okay, yeah.
So, I mean, that's why I don't feel too bad about it. Also, it's, these are the first headsets that are hitting the market that are offering something that is better than just a base level experience, so you can say you used VR. They're offering things that allow you to actually engage with games in a way that does feel different and does feel really good.
Yeah, in fact, let's just talk about the games. We're here, GameSpot. Let's talk about video games. I feel like when we talk about VR half the time, it's always about tech demos. I mean, yesterday they released their tech demo thing on over Steam as well, where you can, people have been actually data mining that for some really interesting Half-Life 3 stuff. Did you see any of that?
I saw some of it, but just like a head crab reference here, HL3 there, like, okay.
Well, apparently, Half-Life 3 had some sort of quest system.
You gotta imagine people at Valve are just doing that to fuck with us.
You think so? Just like, just messing with it a little bit?
At this point, or even just joke with each other internally. Like, oh, good one, Steve. Yeah, I see what you did there.
HL3 actually stands for like Hollow Lamp 3.
Yeah.
I don't know.
That's exactly right. Conspiracy uncovered.
Half-Life 3 aside, you were up there, you played 12 games in a row.
Yeah, so this was just a couple weeks ago. Steam, Valve hosted the Steam VR Showcase, which was basically, here are 12 games that are all coming out this year, coming to HTC Vive.
Right.
So everything I played is going to be out at some point within the next, 6 to 8 months, most likely.
Cool.
And what was cool about it is, as you mentioned, previously we've seen a lot of tech demos, but what I was playing up in Seattle were actually games, like games that I could see myself sitting down and playing for fun.
Game? What's this guy
It's
Raw Data.
Oh, that is Raw Data. That one I actually played a little more recently. That's also a Vive game. It's sort of a combination like tower defense / standing light gun shooter.
Okay.
You're basically waiting for a computer to download some stuff for you, and you have to defend the computer.
Sounds familiar.
From robot assassins who are trying to stop you. So your motion controllers are guns, and you can get a bow or a shotgun.
Yeah, I like the sword situation here. Actually, in fact, there's a couple of games you were playing here. I see Tilt Brush, Budget Cuts, Job Simulator. How many of these games are games where you were standing in one position? And
definitely a few. What was interesting though is that they all did something really different. I mean, of the 12 games that I went and saw in Seattle, each one was they were all very different, and they were almost all different genres. There were a couple shooters, but other than that, it was pretty interesting. I mean, there was a mini golf game. There was cool. A couple sort of puzzly games that approached puzzles in different ways. A couple shooters, a stealth game, a top-down God mode game. Just a bunch of different stuff. And like I said, it was all stuff that I could actually see myself playing. Like they were real games, not just tech demos, which was what was so exciting about it. Stuff I could anticipate and want to play.
I guess last question on this, coming away from the game stuff, is that there was Mobile World Congress, I think, is on in Barcelona at the moment. Was that where Zuckerberg was on stage with?
Yeah, Samsung was doing their press conference, and they gave everyone in the audience the Gear VR headset, which is the thing that you can take one of your various Samsung phones and dock into it and get pretty good VR.
Oh, one of my
experiences.
Samsung phones.
Yeah.
Okay. Which one will I put in?
Well, I mean,
One of many.
Yeah. I mean, I know you all have a few, right?
I mean, at E3 probably.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And there was this image that was sort of like, we've hit this point in VR now where all our worst fears come true, where you're in a VR headset and all of a sudden Mark Zuckerberg is walking around with a goofy smile and a tight T-shirt.
That's my army.
Yeah.
The tweet that I saw
there it
was
is,
like Black Mirror season 3 or
Yeah. Exactly.
that's the image.
That's-
It's very creepy.
Very, yeah, for the podcast viewers, I'm sure if you type Zuckerberg VR, you'll get that shown.
Most likely.
Yeah, but at least with the HTC Vive, sort of coming back to it, are they looking? Have they, sort of talked about getting into that weird space of, oh, this is also like a communication machine, which is very much like what I feel I experienced with the Oculus Touch demo, and with the reason why Facebook bought it, right?
I don't think, I think it's a good reason. Part of the reason why they bought it. I don't think we're going to see like really dedicated first-party social apps like the way we imagine them now. I think it's going to be sort of a slow build-up to something that is like a really concerted, focused effort on like, this is the social platform for VR. So if anything, I don't think you're going to see Valve do too much with it. Maybe they'll integrate Steam in a way. They are integrating sort of local social stuff where you can like get phone calls in the Vive headset, which is a good thing. But yeah, like, I don't see any one company really going all in on social stuff right now, because that's the first way to like trigger fears that people are already expressing before these things are even out.
Right.
That somehow this is going to like remove them from reality and like blah, blah, blah. I think people need to get way more comfortable with this technology before they're willing to like feel comfortable interfacing on a regular basis with a headset on.
Yeah.
But it does work really well, as you saw at Gamescom.
Yeah, the Oculus Touch thing, that was the one that turned me into, oh yeah, this shit is incredible.
Exactly. Yeah. And
Which is hard to.
yeah.
It's an uphill battle trying to explain that to people who have never
Complete-
tried it, because it's like
Right.
you can't
Yeah.
communicate the sensation.
It's like holding a Wiimote. Like that shit, like the dorkiest piece of shit in the world. And then I remember like playing it they had like a Wii station, and it was actually in like a supermarket in Birmingham in the north of England.
That old supermarket.
I know, right? Yeah, the bull ring itself. And I was there, and I literally had to go tennis, and was like, oh my god.
Yeah.
So I guess maybe this will help people. Actually, one question here, the last one. It's we'll actually give it to Josh Shaw, who's inside helping direct the show. He says I can't wear a VR headset for over maybe an hour before feeling bad. You played games for like a whole day. What was that like?
Yeah, so the schedule for the event that I attended was 6 hours, and I played games in 15-minute bursts for like a cumulative total of 3 hours of play time. And so just playing 15 minutes and taking the headset off, I was fine. The only motion sickness I ever experienced was playing, not E-Valkyrie, what's the other one? The other space sim.
Oh, Elite Dangerous?
Elite Dangerous,
Yeah.
thank you. Yeah, and that was only because like I was driving a buggy around like a low gravity planet and like flipping off dunes and stuff, so I was doing it to myself. So I was fine. I did find it, every time I took the headset off, it was more and more difficult to reacclimate to reality. Like after having so many times taking the headset off and on, like I kind of had to actually consciously remind myself by then, like, oh, okay, headset's off, back in the real world. So I mean, it can be a little exhausting, but I think that the more people use it, the more they'll get used to it. And honestly, I think it'll be fine. I didn't have too much trouble with it, but then again, I'm not generally prone to motion sickness or anything like that. I didn't find it uncomfortable or anything.
I wonder
like
if-
physically uncomfortable.
I wonder if that's a thing where people are like, I don't want to spend $800 just in case. Like, I don't know if it's going to make me sick at home.
I'm really hoping for like the reemergence of like cyber cafes where you can just go and like try this for a while, right? Like, you know what I'm talking about?
A bunch of stories
that
that
makes
is-
sense.
You're going to see it in airplanes, I think. That's not too far off, especially in first class. But
That'd be cool.
I think give it 5 years, you're going to start seeing like, maybe if not that, like, you're seeing like a lot of smart devices in airports now, like at little tables where people are waiting. Granted, hygiene is a problem, but yeah, I mean, you could see VR headsets in scenarios like that as well.
Yes, I remember it was a Teresa Derringer who was created the Cannon Brawl, who was an artist on that game. They've made a great VR game as well. I forget what it's called. Bizarre. And she has a problem flying. She's like deathly afraid of flying. And she basically went on a cross America trip and used her, I guess it was the Samsung VR she used, or Samsung, what's it called?
VR.
The Gear VR, sorry. And it like completely mitigated her her sickness or her anxiety. So
Yeah.
it's weird. It's going to be interesting to see where this stuff ends up. Thank you both for coming in and
Yeah.
talking about virtual reality. Let us know in the chat if you're interested in picking up an HTC or an Oculus. Which one? Spend that extra 200 bones or whatever it is for the extra sensors. Let us know in the chat and the comments below.